Greetings viewers and subscribers. In our journey today, we are still along Norman Manley Boulevard. We are heading downtown Negril. When we go downtown Negril, we'll be heading to Savlamar in the parish of Westmoreland. We'll be heading into the rain because on our journey, rain started falling. So, sit back, relax, and drive with me. Now, in this video, we are going to be playing two audio. The Firearm Licensing Authority, it became a statutory body in 2005. It came into being by an act of Parliament. Before the Firearm Licensing Authority, it was superintendents in charge of the various divisions who used to issue firearm permits. Truth be told, many superintendents of police, they became millionaires based on them issuing gun permits. The powers that be, the government, they became aware of the situation that superintendents of police were getting rich off this venture. As a result, they decided to streamline it. So they started the Firearm Licensing Authority. And let me tell you something. Things got worse. If you thought that when the police was issuing gun permits, it was bad, it is now worse. We have seen criminals, persons who went to prison and come back for gun offenses, all kind of offenses, murder, being issued with gun permits or gun license. Now, for about 3 to 4 years, we have been seeing some emails. And those emails are WhatsApp messages. They were written by either somebody who is currently employed or was formerly employed to the FLA. All of these emails and WhatsApp messages, they were alleging that Shane Dalling, the Chief Executive Officer at the FLA, they were all alleging that he was involved in corruption. A lot of things were outlined. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. We have gotten lots of those messages, and we decided that we're not going to run with it because most of what was in it, we can't substantiate it. And we are not here to malign anybody or slander anybody. A lot of persons contacted us and sent the messages to us asking us to run the story. But we decided against it. That's not how we do things. Now, yesterday, Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, Mr. Shane Dalling, the CEO at FLA, he held a press conference in Kingston. We are going to let you listen to what Mr. Shane Dalling had to say. After Mr. Shane Dalling, we are going to let you hear what Mr. Dennis Meadows, a former vice chairman at the FLA, we are going to let you hear what Dennis Meadows responded by saying, "No, this is one time, nobody can say people are doing this for political motive. This is one time nobody cannot say that. Because you know why? Mr. Shane Dalling, the current CEO at FLA, is a councillor in the St. Catherine Municipal Council. Yeah, man, he's a councillor for the JLP. He also ran unsuccessfully in the last general election on the JLP ticket. Dennis Meadows is a member of the JLP. He also ran in Trelawney on behalf of the JLP, but he lost the election. So both of them are members of the JLP, yeah man, the Jamaica Labour Party. So, on this one, nobody can come and say politics is the cause of it. So here goes. We are going to let you listen to what Shane Dalling have to say, and then you are going to listen to what Dennis Meadows answered by saying. Here goes.
I want to state that I joined the FLA in 2017, June. At the time of my joining of the FLA, I noticed that there are certain persons who were getting gun licenses, and the method used was questionable. I brought it to the then chairman of the board's attention. The first alert was raised in June, the same month that I joined the FLA, of a letter from a superintendent in Westmoreland outlining 2 pages of adverse finding on an individual that was involved in lot of scamming and gang activities who had secured a firearm license. And my checks revealed that the person did receive the firearm license, although the board was aware that he was involved in nefarious activities. The board of the FLA then resigned in August. It is to be noted that the deputy chairman at the time was Meadows. After a review by MOCA and the administration of the FLA, headed by myself, we discovered hundreds of criminal elements from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Manchester, Clarendon, who received gun licenses, although the police had warned against granting any such license to those individuals. They ranged from convicted murderers, persons who had conviction for illegal possession of firearm, robbery with aggravation, rape, drug trafficking, and let me state it categorically clear here that those information were present on the file before the board granted the approval. And during the time that Mr. Meadows served on the FLA board, he signed every single one of them approving them. And I'll go further to state to you that there are cases so blatant that the board on which Mr. Meadows sat and he signed denied initially that individual the firearm license on the basis that they said the persons were not fit and proper. And mere weeks later, the same members of the board who denied the person picked up the file and granted the person the license. And I'll share one such case with you in detail now. One such case is a gentleman convicted in Mandeville of illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, and he was sentenced. He was found in a car with an illegal firearm and was arrested by the police and went to court and pled guilty and was sentenced. That gentleman later applied for a firearm license. The board of the FLA denied him the license on the basis that he had a conviction and that he had lied on his application that he never had a conviction. That application was denied in 2014, August. Yet, without a new application or without any appeal being filed by the gentleman, the very said board granted him a license 3 months later. So a convicted criminal who had an illegal firearm is now granted a legal firearm by the Firearm Licensing Authority Board. And it is curious what the board said. The board said that after interviewing the gentleman and noting the sentence that was imposed by the court on him seemed to be below the minimum that the law requires for the gentleman to be given. And therefore they are going to side on the side of leniency and grant this gentleman a firearm license. Jah Cure was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. At the time of the sentence, it was 1999 and 15 years were taken to 2014. Jah Cure later applied for a firearm license. All the report by the investigators, the director of investigation, the police, went against Jah Cure getting a license. The board of the FLA at the time, on which Mr. Meadows was the deputy chairman, and which Mr. Meadows signed, denied Jah Cure a license in June 2016 on the basis that he is not fit and proper to hold a firearm. But 10 weeks later, the very said Dennis Meadows signed approving Jah Cure in getting a firearm license. No appeal, no new application. The decision is granted for him to get a license. Now, I want to state that my check so far reveal over 200 such cases of persons with criminal trace, criminal conviction, who have been approved firearm licenses. Now, I want to state that once a person is granted a license firearm, that person now has access to legal rounds of ammunition, which means that person can walk into any firearm dealership to acquire ammunition legally. Now, a Don in the corporate area got 4 gun licenses through the FLA. A man extradited to the United States and returned was allowed 4 gun licenses. What was curious is that the board was reversing decisions of the previous board, meaning one board would deny the license on the basis that the person is not fit and proper. And although the new board had no new application before it or no new information, they were picking up the files out of the registry and approving the persons on a willy-nilly basis. And that is how several criminal elements got licenses. During the period where persons were getting gun licenses under questionable circumstances, everybody made money from it. So the ranges made money because each time you attend on a range for training, you have to pay. The dealers made money because they were selling far more firearms and ammunition because of the sheer number of persons who were getting gun licenses. In fact, during the period 1 year, dealers sold $1.2 billion worth of firearms based on the sheer volume of persons who were getting gun licenses. So the dealerships across the country benefited from the corrupt practices of the FLA. Now, based on the restrictionist approach that is taken now, it has resulted in far less persons getting firearm licenses, and the board has been quite stringent in this decision as to who gets firearm licenses. Now that has led to a lowering of the sales and by extension their profits. And of course, the dealers, I'm aware, and several other persons have lobbied for my removal from the FLA because they feel that the policies being implemented are strict and are affecting their business.
So you have heard what Shane Dalling had to say. And mind you, Shane Dalling is a lawyer. Shane Dalling is an attorney at law. And he made some damning allegations. And according to him, he can substantiate everything. He has also invited the media to the FLA today to show them Dennis Meadows' signature and all the files that he spoke about. Now, here is what Dennis Meadows responded by saying. Here goes.
Not only seeking to impugn my reputation and character, but also that of my former board colleagues, and is the action, in my view, of an obvious, desperate man who sees the walls closing in on him. If you recall in 2017 when the FLA matters became of public interest, I voluntarily recused myself from the board to facilitate any unhindered investigation. In my public recusal, I invited the Mocha to investigate all allegations. I assisted Mocha subsequently, even without the services of legal counsel, because I had nothing to fear. I use this medium to again call on Mocha, the Integrity Commission, and the Auditor General to immediately conduct a probe in damning allegations of impropriety abound in the public space. As recently as last week, an acquaintance of mine paid $1,350,000 to an emissary of one of FLA directors and obtained a firearm license in a record time of 2 months. Further, those who are denied their application for firearm license are contacted by said emissary and invited to lodge US $6,000 to a Caymanian and US accounts. One such account belongs to a senior head, a family of the senior head of FLA. I will have more to say on this score. In the meantime, I condemn any effort on the part of Mr. Dalling to seek to impugn my character and those of my former board colleagues. You may want to question our decisions, but our integrity and our character remains intact.
No. You see why the mayhem can't stop? You see why the mayhem can't stop? Because if you have criminals getting gun permits, remember, when these criminals not only criminals, when anybody get a gun license, you are permitted to purchase a certain amount of rounds per year. People can easily buy ammunition and give to them criminal friends. This is one of the reasons why the mayhem continues. Blessed love, everybody.